Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Ron Wheeler, and I want to welcome you all to our presentation, How to Generate 3% per month with One Option Trade. Hope you're excited about the upcoming presentation. You're going to learn some really cool things about trading options and how we can create income from those. And, you know, I just open up the room a little bit early. I mean, we're not going to start till about 11 o'clock Eastern time, so about 4 more minutes or so before we officially get started. But what I also want to do while we're opening the room, I just want to make sure all the technology is working. So do me a favor, if you can hear my voice, and if you can hear my voice, if you can hear my voice and see my screen. I always get those confused. I always like to say if you can hear my screen and see my voice. One of these days I'll figure that out in a much better way. But anyway, if you can see the screen, it says on air, and then if you can hear me, just do me a quick favor, type a yes into the chat window. That way I know that everything is working and we are all in good shape. All right, good deal. I see quite a few of you popping in there. Yes, Ramit, good morning to you too as well. I see lots of yeses, 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 5 by 5. All right, good deal. So that means the technology's working. I like to hear that. A couple times every year, every time I start a presentation, I'm talking to myself because I forget to do something. So good. Glad that's working. And then do me a favor. I'm just kind of curious, what time is it by you? I'm in Ohio, so it's about almost 11 o'clock, 10:57 to be exact. I always just kind of like to get a feel for where all of our attendees are joining us from. All right, cool. Looks like a lot of you are also in my 10:57 time frame. Ooh, out west. Good morning. It's coming up on 8 o'clock out west. See, this is a perfect session for somebody in Europe where it's like mid-afternoon after the afternoon break. Gotta love that. I see some Eastern times and some Dallas. I see a couple Canada, Toronto. Toronto's so huge. It's like anybody can be from Toronto, the Greater Toronto area. I love Toronto. All right, cool. So it looks like we got mostly North America here for the most part, and then also, what do you do for a living? You're retired, still working. What are you up to right now? And the only reason I ask this is just because I'm curious. You know, when I first created this options paycheck experience, I originally created it as something that a retiree could do for extra income. But I found over the years that really, I've had people take this course anywhere from 95 years old to a 14-year-old took the course. So I always just kind of curious to see who is uh, who is in the class. I do speak a lot of the retiree, although, I'm 48, so I'm closer to retirement than I'm, closer to when I started working, but, you know, whew, I got a little sneezing attack going on there. Sorry if I seem to be cutting in and out. I'm trying to mute my microphone so you guys don't have to hear me sneeze. I left a fan on last night when I was sleeping, and now I'm all stuffed up this morning from it. All right, happily retired, retired, retired. So it looks like most of you are retired. I kind of expect that doing a class at 11 o'clock. My in-laws, God love them, they're retired, but they get up at like 4 in the morning every day. They get up at like 4 in the morning. They take more naps now, which is beautiful, but it's I always say, guys are retired, relax, but they're also farmers. So it's been in their blood to like, get up early every morning for their entire life. So they're not going to stop now. But a good thing is they do get some rest during the day now, which is good. All right. Well, it is 11 o'clock. So let's go ahead and jump into this thing and let's get started. And we are going to present how to generate 3% per month with as little as one option trade per week. So welcome again to today's webinar. I'm going to be showing you the system I developed here at VectorVest that helps you to generate income in any market. And the information I'm going to share with you has changed not only my life, but I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So I hope you're excited about it as well. You're going to see this webinar how you can begin making a paycheck averaging about 3% per month or more, keeping in keeping in mind that you can do it regardless of market direction, so bullish or bearish markets, little to no prior experience with options. It's safer than simply buying and selling stocks, and I'll explain why that works like that as we go through. And it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, I know it might sound too good to be true, and you might be thinking, is it legit? You'd want some proof. I would too if I were you, because I see all those overhyped advertisements of like the kids that are 19 on that they're master traders and they got all this great stuff that's all rented. Listen, I'm not like that. I want to let the results stand for themselves. I want to let you decide. So this is my 2023 results that I did with my live coaching group. I have a $100,000 account last year with my option paycheck trades that I did. We made 37.2% last year, averaged about 3% per month. Now, understand if you look at the results, not every month is winning. I started off the year in January with a little bit of drawdown, made money in February, had a little drawdown in March, made some money in April, had some drawdown in May. But then for the rest of the year, it's pretty much green across the board except for August. Couple of things I want you to notice. Winning rate, winning trades, 59%. It was pretty low. I don't like 59%. I like it to be a little bit higher. Average winner about $1,000. Average loser about $1,000. So I'm not taking big catastrophic losses. Now, my 2024 results so far, and you're going to have to believe me for April, May, and June. Unfortunately, my reporting software just got put back online yesterday, so I'm trying to update those results. But I will tell you in April, May, and June, I made another couple of percentage, and then in July, so far in July, I'm having drawdown. So I'm going to have a red month in July after adding a couple of percentage points in April, May, and June. But July is going to be a red month. So through the first 3 months of the year, it was about 3.4%. I added about 3 or 4% in April, May, and June. Had some kind of like back and forth months as the market was kind of deciding what it wanted to do. And then July, I'm going to have a red month. So overall, I'm still up probably about 14% or so for the year, in the middle of the year. So I'm kind of on track for where I want to be for the year. My average winner is about 887, and my average loser is about 755. So that's kind of how it works so far for this year. Now, I've been doing this I've been with VectorVest now since 2015. I've been running my coaching group probably for 8 years of that. And we've made our goal in six, actually, well, I'll say 5 out of 8 years. And 5 out of 8 years, we've hit our goal. The other 3 years, we didn't hit our goal, but we were profitable as well. So, you add up all of that over the 8 years, we've definitely averaged that 3% per month. All right. Well, I've been teaching this now since, again, 2016. And one of my recent students sent me this email in December. And he said, "Hey, Ron, just want to send a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course back in September. I've been using the method, tracking my performance. Thought you'd like to see the results. I earned my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st with only 5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retired in-laws to help them grow their account in retirement." I love to hear that. Not only because he's being successful and he's making money. I like to hear that people are able to reproduce the results that we give. That means the concept is working. It means the teaching is working. It's a great thing. And also from Carrie's email, it's another lesson. You don't have to have 100 grand to do this. You can start small like Carrie with 5 grand. Start small while you learn and practice because it builds up quickly. For example, if you started with 5,000 and you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that puts you over $1 million. If you started with 25, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than that, you can get to that goal much, much faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you today, and we're going to talk about a few of them. These are real people just like you. So as I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention because you might find you're in a very similar position as they were when they first started as well. My name again is Ron Wheeler, and I am the options trading manager here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 27 years. I've made my first trade back in 1997. Now, when I first started, the first few years of my trading, I had mostly losses. And the reason why is because, like a lot of traders, like every trader and investor out there, whether you're a day trader or whatever, you have to master two things to be successful. First, you have to figure out direction. If you buy something, whatever you bought, it has to go up. If you sell something in the market, whatever you sell, it has to go down. Once you figure that out, you also got to kind of balance risk management. You want to make sure your winning trades are paying more than your losing trades, and your losing trades aren't overtaking your winning trades. What good is being 70% right as a trader if every time you make money, you make 1,000, and every time you lose 10,000, right? Doesn't matter how accurate you are, it doesn't make a difference. You're not going to make any money. Now, when I first started out, I was a a commodity day trader. So I traded a lot of the S&P futures. I traded the Dow Jones, bonds. I did position trading on things like crude oil and gold and corn and wheat and all that kind of stuff. So eventually I did learn properly. I had some great tutors. I worked for a great company that helped me with this. So I had some really good traders that kind of assisted me in my course. I was really lucky in that regard. Well, as my career moved, I eventually became a trading educator as I became successful. So I started working with a lot of people. Well, one of the persons I started working with happened to be, and I didn't know it at the time, he actually was a hedge fund manager. And he worked out in the Midwest, and he was an options guy. I didn't realize, he knew that I really didn't like options because I had some poor experiences with them. But he said, Ron, you got to do options. It's really a good way to do this. It makes everything easier. So one week he actually came to Northeast Ohio to visit our office, and he sat with me for a while, and he said, listen, let me show you what we do at the institutional level as far as options go. He said, what we can do and how we can create a trade is this. I can create a trade using options to where even if my analysis is wrong, I can still profit from the trade. And I can also lock in risks, so no matter what the market does, whether it goes way against me, I have a fixed amount of risk. So I was intrigued. I mean, think of that pressure that takes off you, right? You don't even have to be right necessarily to make money, and the risk management's locked in up front. Okay. So very slowly, he introduced me to the concept of being an options seller. And I was intrigued. I started dabbling with it. And as I got more interested and I saw more success, I eventually, over the years, transitioned to where about 15 years ago, I pretty much was a 90% option trader. And about 10 years ago, I became pretty much a 99% option trader. So, what I want to do is kind of take you on a journey similar to where I started. Okay, so I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate those returns. I'm going to show you case studies, examples of our clients who are doing this. And I'm going to show you the system. So if you learn and follow it, you can do the same thing. And stay with me to the end. I put together a little checklist to help you plan out trades. It's a PDF. I'll put it right in the handout section of GoToWebinar. I'll drop it right in there. You can click on it, print it out today. Remind me though when we get to the Q&A section because after I speak for about an hour, I typically forget to do it. Okay? Why is this such an important topic, the whole idea of income? Well, without an income system, it's on you, and that creates a number of problems for us. If you're not retired, it keeps you stuck in a situation where you still have to work in order to live. Whether you've got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether you'll have enough or if you're going to run out of money, that can have a big impact on your life, your health, and even your relationships. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with how, inflation over the last 4 years has really ravaged things. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you might run out of money during retirement. But with a system in place to generate income, things are a lot different. I think this is probably the most important point of the webinar. If you want to be financially free, your main need is income. To be financially free, you have to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Let me say this again. In order to become financially free, all you need to do is learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. This allows you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can even help you retire younger. So as I said, I think this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it again. When the income from your investments exceeds your living expenses, you become financially free, or you have the ability to retire. For example, Brian's a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you could become proficient at drawing income from the market, even if you don't want to invest a lot to begin with. Now, Brian said he had some health issues and he needed a way to supplement his income. By using the options paycheck system, he generated $23,000 in profit starting with just $6,000. He said he had a 100% winning trade rate in 10 months, 31 of 31 winning trades using our most basic system. Now, the key point here is this is not necessarily beginner's luck. It's a result of following the system. It's the system that helped him get 100% winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit in 10 months. Now, the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month. It allows you to win even when you're wrong. Now, the reason you want to be the casino or the house is that, well, number one, the house always wins. Number two, well, why does the house always win? They control and they stack probability massively in their favor. Now, the casino in that case, they don't do massive odds. I always say, Las Vegas was built on a 1 to 3% edge, right? They just do it multiple thousands and thousands and thousands of times. They build billion-dollar casinos and resorts. The paycheck system is built around the same kind of concept. We're stacking odds massively in our favor. Now, make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you got to learn how to stack probability in your favor. And the obvious question is how? Well, the first step is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. Let me explain. Bruce, another one of our clients, is a great example of shifting from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. He had said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from his broker, but he focused on our SPX income system. It's our most basic trading system, as he's not the most technical person in the world. But at the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from 100 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole system takes him 15 minutes a day, he said. So let me show you how it works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it'll go up, so either buy shares of it or you buy a call. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, mainly because when you started learning options, it's what you were taught to do. If you think a stock will go up, you just simply buy a call on it. But when it ends up happening a lot of the times, either the stock doesn't go up or it doesn't go up enough, and that call you bought ends up expiring worthless. Has it ever happened to you? Yes? Well, what's the problem that's really causing you to lose here? Most people feel the problem is they picked the wrong stock. Maybe they picked the wrong option strike price or the wrong expiration date. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not necessarily your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are really not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. It's how you put probability on your side. It's how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, we're going to have a seller's mentality. So instead of hoping a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. You're going to pick a price where you think the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock simply just to go in your direction, you can pick a price below the stock that says essentially, as long as the stock doesn't go down here, I can still make money. Think about that. You can pick a price down here, and as long as the stock stays above it, you can make money. So if the stock goes up, you make money. If the stock goes sideways, you make money. Even if the stock comes down a little bit, you can still make money. And if the stock goes too far low, we exit the trade and take our losses. We don't stick to it forever. So right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. And you could even increase that probability even more. In certain cases when options are expensive, and we'll talk about this later on, you can choose even lower prices, which give you a bigger area where you can be right. We do a lot of our trades that sometimes start off with a 70% chance of success. And you can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. And this is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Now, you remember Bruce, he continues to trade with us every week. In fact, he posted on our private Facebook group a while ago and said, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That's a great picture of financial freedom. Now, Mike was someone who dabbled with options but lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating it must be to lose on each of your trades? Eventually, he just gave it up. He tried to learn more about options, but he said he never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing because he didn't have any set criteria. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he said he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over 12,000 in 4 months. Now again, the key lesson here is going from buyer or gambler to seller or the house. That turned his situation around. He was so proud of his success, he even sent me a spreadsheet of his trades. So take a look. Notice the number of winners, that's the profit column, all the winning trades, versus the number of losers. That's pretty typical. Now look at the days to trade. 7 days, 5 days, 2 days, that's a quick one. 7, 10. He's getting out of his trades every 7 to 10 days typically. That's average. We're not day traders anymore. We take trades for an average of 7 to 10 days. Our most simple system, if you're like Mike, starts trading the SPX, which is an index that tracks the S&P 500. It can involve only one trade per week, and compounded returns have been about 4.5% per month since 2016. So that's compounded returns, where you take a trade, as your account builds, you put more money in the trades. It's beautiful. It's what we like to see. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. You're not looking for one big home run to trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's really the key takeaway. Home runs look good, but singles win the games. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and be able to do the things you want to do. Okay, so you've seen by flipping from buyer to seller, you can have the odds stacked massively in your favor. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. Mistake number 1 is that buyers choose unrealistic strikes. They choose strikes that are so far away the stock has very little chance of hitting it. Here's a stock. So let's say you're bullish on the stock. A mistake a lot of option buyers make is they buy calls with strike prices way up here. Why do they buy these options if the stock has very little chance of hitting it? Mainly, they do it because they're cheap. Most option buyers treat options like lottery tickets. And guess what? Most of the time they lose. Give me 1 second. I'm having a little bit of an audio issue on my side. All right. Sorry about that. Now, as I said, most buyers treat options like lottery tickets, and most of the time they lose. The stock's at $216, right? You're not going to really make money unless the stock goes to 230. That's putting yourself way behind the 8 ball. Now listen, since there's always going to be buyers out there who are buying these options, you may as well be the one who sells it to them. Because when you sell these options, you have a high probability of winning. And the same goes for puts. There are people who buy puts down here as lottery tickets or cheap insurance. Okay? Doesn't matter why they do it. There's always people out there selling those options. Okay? Selling these options gives you a 60 to 90% probability of success right from the very start of the trade. The second mistake that buyers make is choosing expiration dates that are too close to the current date. It's like when you go to the grocery store and see a piece of steak on the discount rack. It's cheap, but it'll be worthless very soon. And the same is true for options. Here you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days. Notice over 180 days, it took 135 days to lose half of the option's value. In the last 45 days or so, that price really drops off. Now, a lot of buyers, they buy these options with less than 45 days until expiration. Well, why do they buy the options if there's so little time left? Because the options are cheaper. It's like buying a lottery ticket. But by doing this, you're stacking the probability against you. So instead of buying options in that window, you want to sell options in that window. Now, to be more specific, we use an expiration 21 to 45 days away. That's the sweet spot. To kind of show you it in another way, this is a graph from Home Depot. Most buyers will buy an option date, maybe out here, about a month, month and a half away, but that expiration's too close. Notice how the value of the option just drops off because it's getting closer to expiration. No other reason. The stock can go in your direction, but because you're close to expiration, the value's dropping. But listen, this is bad for the option buyer, but you're not the option buyer anymore. You're the seller. That time decay is going to work in your favor. Remember, there's always going to be people buying options that have expiration dates too close. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them be the gambler. You be the casino. You will always win in the end. Now, the third mistake buyers make is they pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. Now, this is important because not a lot of people get this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's two stocks. I want you to look at the top and I want you to notice. Both stocks are around the same price. They're about 76 bucks. But even though the two stocks have the same price, look at the difference in option premium. One on the left has a premium of $910. The one on the right's $180. It's the same strike, same price stock, same expiration. Why are they so different? Because the option on the left has extremely high implied volatility. Buyers who buy options like on the left are paying too much. What's the big deal? Watch what happens when a buyer buys an option that is overpriced like the one on the left. Both stocks go up $8 a share from 76 to 84. Look what happens to the value of the options. Even though both stocks rose, the overpriced option on the left actually lost. Think about that. The option buyer actually got the direction right on that stock on the left, but they still lost money, versus over on the right where they made like 400%. Why did they lose? Because the person who bought options of a stock number one, they didn't pay attention to volatility. They simply paid way too much. Now, instead of buying these overpriced options, we're going to be selling them. Think about that. Okay? The higher we can find premium to sell, the lower our risk is on the trade and the more probability we can get. You're stacking probability and reducing risk even more using these overpriced expensive options. Now, Bob is another one of our clients. He has one of the most interesting stories I've seen. Prior to working with us, he was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into a strategy that helped him control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, he grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, if you want to control your returns and results, you have to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. Now, let me ask you, have you ever made any of these buyer's mistakes? Just share with me in the chat. I'm going to mute my microphone for about 30 seconds. Like I said, my throat's really dry this morning. I need to take a drink, so give me about 15, 20 seconds, and let me do that real quick. And share with me, have you ever made those buyer's mistakes? Okay, sorry about that. Like I said, I'm getting a little dry throat. I've been doing a lot of these. Listen, I see a lot of yeses in the chat. Exactly. We've all made these mistakes. This is why, remember I told you my story about how I wasn't really a big fan of options? It's why I didn't like them either. You know, we've all made these mistakes. If you've traded options, you've made these mistakes. If you've never traded options before, and I see a couple of, oh, there we go. Yeah, I see a couple of you talking about, yes, I've never traded options before. That's fine. Now you kind of see what to avoid. Listen, it's not our fault. We were just taught either a broken system or we weren't exactly taught how to trade properly. Now, I saw a couple of you mention risk. Let's talk about it. Hopefully at this point you want to see you see how being an option seller has more advantages. I want to look at how to trade with very little risk, because when a lot of people hear the word options, and especially selling options, they start thinking risky, right? I always have that horror story that somebody tells me of, Ron, I did this once and I had 3 months of winning trades, and one trade came in and wiped me all out. Well, that can happen. Okay. Why is reducing risk important? Because if you're not doing it right, if you're not using the options paycheck system, you're not preserving your capital. One bad trade can wipe out the gains from a bunch of winners. But again, I want you to think back to what I talked to you about in the beginning. These trades have a known risk. They have a known risk. Before you place the trade, you are going to know if the trade could do this to you. If the trade could do this to you, you don't take it. It's as simple as that. I've avoided this scenario in my options paycheck trades because I've never taken a trade that could do this to me. Because if this happens and you suffer those large losses, it's hard. It takes a long time to recover. But when you do it right with the right system in place, you're going to have a built-in protection plan. You take care of risk management before you even open the trade. Because when you can confidently select stocks and set your trades up in a way that reduce risk, it allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Like I said earlier, home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. Now, one of the most common questions we get asked is, can I trade this from an IRA? A client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our options paycheck system. John said he had tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades and more than doubled the size of his IRA by spending no more than about 15 minutes per day on his trading. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure that you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, very similar to what you see in this graph. Then, instead of selling an option naked, we're going to sell with some protection. So let me show you how to do this. Now, a traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. What we're going to do is we're going to shrink your risk to this. So let me show you how this works. This is a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, so it's understandable why you'd want to be bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now, traditionally, people would buy the stock here. Maybe if they're buying an option, they might even use the stock price as a basis for their strike price if they buy a call, but we're not going to do it anymore. We're not the buyer. No more buying. You're the seller. Here's what you're going to do. If you think that a stock will go up, you are going to go underneath the price of the stock and you are going to sell a put. Now, when you sell the put, you're going to receive premium. In this case, you're going to get paid $200. If you did this on 10 contracts, you'd get paid $2,000. Now, that's great, right? But you have no downside protection, okay? One thing you got to remember about selling options, and this is a confusing thing for some new folks. When you sell an option, it's not like when you sell your car or you sell something from your house, right? You could put it on Facebook Marketplace, they come over, pick it up, they drop the money off, they take your item, the sale is complete, you no longer own it, done. When you sell an option is a contract. You are selling somebody a contract that states, as long as I have the responsibility, I am willing, in this case, to buy the stock for $135 a share. Now, theoretically, as long as the stock stays above $135 a share, nobody is going to want you to take on the stock for $135. The risk of you having to buy the stock comes from when the stock drops below $135 a share. So right now the stock's at 138. As long as it stays above 135, you are pretty much worry-free of having that risk of having the stock sold to you where you now have to buy the stock for 135. Pretty much no risk. Now, what happens if one day the market, for some strange reason, maybe there's some kind of weird announcement or something that comes out, and all of a sudden the stock opens for $100? You're left with this obligation that says you have to buy the stock at 135 if the option buyer wants you to. So now you own a $100 stock at $135. You just suffered a catastrophic loss. Not good. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce that risk to here. And the way that we do it is we buy insurance. We're going to take some of the premium that we received when we sold the option, and now we're going to buy an option as insurance. So when I sell the put, I am taking on a contract that essentially says I might have to buy the stock at 135. Now, when I buy the put, that put that I bought says I can now turn around and sell the stock for 130 if I need to. So even if the stock drops to 100, worst case scenario is I can lose $5 a share. Now, we're going to reduce this risk even more of ever having to do a stock transaction by, if the stock drops below 135, we are going to exit the trade. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few seconds here. Okay? Now, when I place this trade, I'm going to place the trade and I'm going to get paid $100. I sold the option for 200. I bought my insurance for 100. I get paid $100 to place this trade. If I did it on 10 contracts, I would get paid $1,000. Now, what this does is it creates a scenario where if the stock goes up, what's going to happen is the price of your options are going to decline. When I enter the trade, I get paid $1,000. As the stock moves up, the value of my options starts to decline. Remember I talked about time decay and how that helps you? As the market goes up or even sideways, the option values will start to decline. 900, 500, they go down. Now, as an option seller, you got to get used to a couple things. Number one, things are reversed. When I say things are reversed, when you buy something, you buy it for $1 and you hope to sell it for $3. Well, in an option trade, you enter the trade and get paid $3 with the hope of later on you can exit the trade for maybe $1.50. So when I take the trade, I get paid $1,000. My goal is to later exit the trade and pay the broker back maybe half of that, and I keep the difference. So it's a little bit different from how profits work that you're really used to. You basically sell high and buy back low. Now, that's another thing about options that people don't realize. Options are like anything else. If I told you, or if you said, hey, I like this stock, I'm going to buy it at $138, I'm going to buy 1,000 shares. Great. Now, Ron, if the stock goes to 145, I'm going to exit the trade and take my $7 gain. Awesome. All right, if I said 145, I don't remember what I said. Great. You now have where you bought the stock, you have a profit target where you're going to sell the stock back, and you're going to take your profits and go to another trade. Ron, if the stock drops to 135, I'm going to exit my trade. That's a stock trade, right? Options are the same. I enter the trade. If the stock goes up and my options decline in value, I exit the trade with profits. As long as I stay above 135, I can exit the trade with profits. Now, if the stock drops below 135, I'm going to exit my trade and take a loss, just like you would with any other stock purchase. It's the same thing. The only difference is, pardon me, you're trading options. So the concept is the same. It really, really is. Okay? We enter these trades. We exit at predetermined profit targets. We exit with a predetermined stop. So when I told you earlier, pardon me again with my throat, I'm sorry about that. When I told you earlier that, I've never actually had to do a stock transaction like where I said, I get assigned a stock, I have to sell it later on. In the 15 years plus I've been selling options, I've never had to do that, ever. Okay? Because of our strategy that works. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to set up a couple trades with you guys. Okay? I'm going to show you some numbers, so you want to be paying attention here. Now, first and foremost, I want to establish one thing. We only place one direction at a time. So when the market is bullish, we place bullish trades. And I'm going to give you a little tip here. I want to pick a trade that gives me at least a 60% probability of winning. And I'll show you how this works. Now, PHM. Pulte was last year. It was mid-June, and it was in a very nice uptrend. I think we could all agree. So I zoom in. I'm going to go out there, choose an option that expires between 21 and 45 days away, typically using a monthly options contract. This option right here Based on where it was in the month of June, I'm going to guesstimate and say that option was probably about 25 days to expiration. So what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go into my broker or into my Options Pro software, whichever. I'm going to look at puts. I'm going to look at all the options that are trading below the price of the stock. And in those options, they have a built-in probability. Okay? Most brokers actually will give you this information. Most brokers actually will. Okay? In fact, I happen to have my test account open for Thinkorswim, and I'm just going to show you guys real quick here. See, when you look at puts, there's a probability and there's a percentage. Okay? Right now, this stock is trading at about 133. If I look at this option right here, if I choose a 130, that's got a 22% chance of staying above that. So that's Thinkorswim. Fidelity has this, IB has this. Most options brokers, in a way, have that, like a probability calculator. Okay? So let me explain it this way. I go out there and I say, okay, if I choose a $75 put when the stock is 76, this is going to give me a 56% chance of staying above that price to expiration. If I go down to $73, I have a 73% chance of staying above that price till expiration. So if I sell a $75 put, I have a 56% chance of making money essentially. If I sell a $73 put, stock is 76, it gives me a 73% chance probability of making money. If I sell all the way down here, a $70 put, it gives me a 91% chance of staying above that and making money. Now let me ask you a question. Without knowing anything else about option selling, if I came to you and said you could have a 56% chance of winning, a 73 or a 91, without knowing anything else, no prior knowledge about options and probability and anything, which option would you choose? Which option would you choose? Yeah, I mean, I see it right there, 9%. Okay, 91%, 91%. Absolutely, you would take the 91% trade. Of course you would. Who wouldn't? But here is why a lot of option traders suffer those catastrophic losses. Okay, you have a trade down here. You may be able to make $1,000 if you make money on that trade. But if you lose, you may lose 15 grand. That's not good. Or maybe we put it in those small account terms. You may be able to make 100, but on the losing trade, you lose 1,500. What good is being 90% right when that one trade comes in and wipes out all of your gains? So this is where a lot of people run into problems with being an option seller. They get seduced by that probability. What you've got to do, however, is you have got to compromise. I said that I want around a 60%. Our typical trade is taken between about 60 to 70% probability. So what we want to do is we want to stay in this range right here, right about 73%. Now, this trade is called a bull put spread. We're selling a $73 put, that's below the price of the current stock, and we're buying a $70 put. So bullish because we do the trades when we're bullish, puts because we're using puts, and then spread because if you look between those two options, there's a $3 spread between the prices. It's a $3 spread. Now, when I take this trade, when I took this trade, I should say, I'm going to get paid around $1,750 or so. That's what I'm going to get paid. All right. My goal now is to set up a profit-taking plan. Profit-taking plan number one is to exit when the value of my options contracts drops to about $850-ish. Okay? That's what I really want to get out of this trade. Right around half of that value. I say around that. Okay? My second trade management plan is if the stock happens to drop below 73, I'm going to exit the trade and take a small loss. Now, on this particular trade, everything worked out pretty well. In 3 days, on the third day, in fact, it had a big move up. And I was able to exit that trade and lock in $876.18 after commissions. Okay? So when I take the trade, I get paid again and again. I don't remember the exact number, but typically I take profits at about 50%. So not including commission, I probably, when I first took the trade, got paid about $1,750 when I took that trade. And then I exit when the option value falls to half of that. So realistically, somewhere around 1750 when I started, 876 when I exited. Now, here's another example. When the stock turns bearish, or when markets turn bearish overall, we start placing bearish trades. Here's an example of Target. Target last year got beat down pretty well. Also, if you look, it had just broken below a big support level. I like that when that happens. Now, I'm going to go out there and try to find an option above the price now because I think the stock is going to go down. So I want to pick an option up here that's going to give me probability of making money. Now, based on where this is, this expiration out here is somewhere near the 40-day mark, I would imagine. Okay? So I go out there again. I look at my broker. And remember, brokers have this information. There's probabilities in pretty much all the brokers. Okay? I go out to my broker, my Options Pro software, and I'm going to look at the options that are available. Okay? Now, I think the stock's going to go down. At 135, I have a 64% probability of making money. So as long as the stock stays below 135, I can make money. The stock's at 130. If I choose the 140 at 76%, guess what? I can still make money. If I choose the 145, up here I've got about an 85% probability. Okay? So, knowing what you know now about probability, risk, reward, what do you think you would choose? Give me a shout out in the chat window. Which option or which A, B, or C would you choose in this particular case? All right. I see lots of folks saying C, some people saying B. Nobody is saying A. I like that. All right. For those of you that chose B, you are absolutely correct. For those of you that said C, you are absolutely correct. B or C is acceptable. Either one of these would be perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. They're both fine. So, Ron, if they're both fine, which one do you choose? Well, remember, I like that 60 to 70% rate. What I would do at this point is I would go and look at the risk. What is the most probability I could get in the trade with an acceptable amount of risk? Guess what? In this case, it happened to be B. Okay? It happened to be B. When options are extremely overpriced, a lot of times I could choose higher percentages. So this particular trade is called a bear call spread. Bearish because the market's bearish and the stock is bearish. Now calls. When I think a stock's going to go down, I use calls. So I sell a 140 call. I buy a 145 as insurance. That's a $5 spread, a bear call spread. Now, when I took on this trade, I got paid around $1,500 when I took the trade on. My goal is for as long as the trade stays below that 140 price, eventually, usually in the next 7 to 10 days, the options will decline in value. And guess what? That's exactly what they did here. Now, the stock didn't even really move. In fact, it went sideways for the next 5 days and then finally fell down on the 7th day of the trade, 7th trading day. And I was able to exit that trade and take in profits. That's how it works. Okay? Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent and he felt very unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. Have you ever felt that way? That there was something more out there? Jim said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and provide more of a regular income with a higher probability of success. He said after he learned the system of being an option seller, he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. And his average trade only lasted 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to be going from inconsistent to where all of your trades are generating income? Well, that was Jim. What about you? I want you to think, what would an income system like this allow you to do? If you could add a couple of percentage points to your capital a month, what would that allow you to do? For those of you retired, maybe travel more. If you're not retired, retire earlier, pay off bills faster. What would that allow you to do in your own portfolios, in your own life? Now remember, we said earlier that buying is gambling. Selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor to generate income. The options paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk, and it all goes back to whether you'd rather be the gambler or the casino. But keep in mind, the house always wins in the end. Let's put this together. I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who've implemented this system have told me this is one of the most important things they learned. And why is it important? Because one of the biggest things people ask me is how much time is it going to take me? Well, it's a great question. Here's the challenge, right? There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to know how to pick the right stock, use the right option strategy. What do you do when you get in? How do you get out? What expiration? There's all these variables, right? And people say with all these variables, they can't find trades easy. It's like finding a needle in the haystack. You don't know where to look because there's so much information out there. You spend hours putting your trades together. You're going from guru to guru looking for advice. But without a system, you're trading blindly. You're like a mouse running through maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's disheartening. It's stressful. But with the right system, you can identify good stocks and get that reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But to get that, you need a system, and that's any system. A straight line system, a simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find your trades, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system, the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce. There's 6 pieces, the top 5 build on each other, and then the 6th kind of ties it all together. So at the top of the system is market direction. A lot of traders ignore this, and they just go out and start placing trades. But we're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish. So you have to have a know to understand the market's direction. By doing this, you're narrowing your focus. So instead of looking at just everything, you're looking at one of 2 possible scenarios. Our options paycheck system has timing signals built in, so we know what the market's direction is. Now, after you know the direction of the market, we're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction as the market. So just trading the stocks that you know or listening to TV or reading the IBD or whatever, it's not the best choice. You want to find good stocks that are already in uptrends when the market's rising, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Our paycheck system saves a lot of time in 2 ways. We look at 2 main things, fundamentals and price trend. We have pre-built searches in VectorVest, which we use instead of digging through all the data these institutions throw at you. Now, once you have a list of stocks, you want a way to select the best ones for option trading. Earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had on options pricing. But we focus selling options with, of course, volatility in the upper end of the range, but we don't stop there. Remember I told you about big unexpected movement? We filter out earnings. We don't want to be in trades when earnings are coming. We make sure our expirations are in the sweet spot. Now, you can use tools from a broker to help this. We have a proprietary searcher which finds these in seconds for us. Now you got to set up your trade. We want the one that has the highest probability of success based on the strike prices, remember? But we also have to manage the risk and reward. I want the highest probability while maintaining a proper risk reward. You saw earlier my average winning trade's 1,000, my average losing trade's 1,000. This year was like 800 and 750. The most probability while keeping the risk reward even. Now, before you place the trade, you got to know what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. We have rules to take profits at predefined levels, and in some brokers, and actually in all brokers, these can be set up in advance. If a trade goes against you, we have an adjustment strategy that you can do to help minimize your loss. And you're also going to know when to exit the trade to take your loss. And I can even set that up in my broker in advance. That way it happens automatically. It's very, again, unemotional for me. Now, lastly, you want a way to do this quickly. You don't want to be spending all day on the process. So you need a tool that allows you to do things, and it should be something comfortable that you like to use. Now, some brokers have great tools. I like Thinkorswim. They have great tools. IB has great tools. Fidelity has great tools. I like to use our tool from VectorVest called Options Pro. Saves me a lot of time setting up these trades. Now, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim. Each of them is getting the results in about 15 minutes a day. Well, so is Hugh. And he told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He wanted to have that proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have a proper work-life balance. Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time on things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh has learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time, is able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he said he had 38 winners and made 27 grand in 4 months. Now, I've got a little exercise for you. I want you to take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're really good at. So, for example, if you have a quick way to find stocks likely to go in the direction of the market, put a little star there. But if there's an area where something isn't working or you need a little work, put a frowny face there. So, for example, if you don't know how to manage and repair a trade, put a frown there. Don't overthink it. Take about 10 seconds, give yourself a star or a frown. I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. So give yourself a quick grade. Now, let me ask you, what areas do you need to work on? Do me a favor, type this in the chat. What area do you personally need to work on? All right, I see. Never traded options before. You're not in a bad position of never trading options before. You are a perfect candidate to get started to doing this properly. That's the bottom line. You're a perfect candidate to get started doing this right. Trade management, a lot of trade managements, a couple of option selections. Okay? Now listen, the point of this exercise is so you can identify what you need to work on. Because if you really want to see the results, you got to have stars all the way down. Okay? Because once you do that, you'll be profitable, you'll be successful, and you'll be able to do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I don't know the exact reason why you came to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few educated guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you're trading blindly, bumping into one wall into the next. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make some money, but then give it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim did before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Today I showed you the secret to fixing that. And it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know. And now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. How you can do it with very little risk, even less risk than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system that's going to help you get consistent income every month. I showed you just a few of the many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. You're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows this secret. That means there's going to be 99 other investors who will continue to do things wrong. They're going to be buying options, making all the mistakes we talk about. Can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as they're out there, you may as well be the casino. Because remember the old saying, the house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor, just like it taught Brian and Bruce and Bob and Jim and Hugh and John. So if you're like most people, you're wondering, well, how do I implement the paycheck system in my portfolio right now? Well, you got a choice. Option number one is you can choose to do nothing and stay where you are. If you already have enough money to retire and you're not worrying about running out of money or you don't want extra income, that's cool. Okay, you don't need the option paycheck system. But if you do want to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with two other options. Option number two is you can do it alone. You can try to learn how the option trades work, try to figure out the direction of the market, learn to analyze the thousands of stocks to find the best ones to trade, and then hope you pick the right one, manage it correctly. If you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. Option three is to let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the option paycheck system, and in just a few weeks, you'll have a simple system to follow that doesn't take you a lot of time. So, of those three options, ask yourself what's going to be easier. There's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals, but they never do anything to make them happen. Person number two is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see a good opportunity in front of you. And since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two, and that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on your first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience, it's the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads, even if you've never traded an option before. The Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secrets to generating consistent income with options, because we show you exactly how to find, set up, and manage your option spreads to generate income, and how to do it safer and more consistently in any market condition, so you never have the fear of running out of money. After going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms. You no longer will have to fear options. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place a bullish or a bearish trade, and even when not to place a trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify stocks that make the best candidates for your trades using a rules-based approach, and that frees up a lot of time. You're going to be able to set up an income trade that gives you at least a 70% chance of success or better. Again, even if you've never traded an options trade. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing your trade, so you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker, whether you've done it once or never. You're going to implement a system that's going to help you safely and consistently generate income. Now, the course is 8 modules, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. As you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to the end goal, which is a system for consistent income. Now, the first 2 modules, we call these the Option Income Foundation. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base that portfolio on a weak foundation of knowledge. We understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome you're going to get in Module 1 is you know exactly how calls and puts work, so you can confidently use them in your trades. You know which terms to pay attention to, which to ignore. That way you don't waste time or you don't get frustrated. In Module 2, you're going to learn what an option spread is and how they work, the bull put and the bear call. You're going to be filled with all the confidence you need to start building your system around these trades. In Module 3, you've constructed your solid foundation of options knowledge. Now we're going to start laying out that step-by-step system to placing the trades to generate the options paychecks. Each step along the way stacks probability in your favor and reduces risk, and it all starts when knowing when to trade. Here, you're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of just looking at all the possible trades, you're going to narrow your focus. You're going to know whether to place a bullish trade or bearish trade, even when not to trade. After you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction, because that stacks probability even more in your favor. So the outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got a list of stocks, it's time to narrow it down even further to the best options candidates. By using the rules in this module, you're going to make sure you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. You're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set up your trade. Here, you're going to make sure the trade has the perfect combination of risk and reward, and you're going to know exactly where to set your strikes. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and strategically setting them up correctly from the beginning. Now that you got your high probability trade picked out and you're ready to go, Module 7, you're going to learn how to take and have your plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You will never be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you're going to know how to react, and that allows you to trade stress-free. Now that you got your best stock picked out, you got your low risk, high probability trade picked up, you got your management plan in place, now you got to place your trade. This module is going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps that you can commit to muscle memory in no time. Now, we put everything you need to do into a checklist. That way you never miss a step. So when you're first starting out, it's always comforting having a security blanket to make sure you did everything correctly. Now, I showed you a few screens from Thinkorswim. We know that placing trades with your broker can be intimidating, so I put together video walkthroughs of several popular brokers. I also have click-by-click directions for the most popular options broker, Thinkorswim. That's what I use. Now, before I want to talk about the price of the course, I want to make it even more of a low-risk trade for you. We offer a 100% money-back guarantee. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied we taught you how to profit using options, just notify us within a week of the course. You get all your money back. It's completely no risk. All we ask is that you give it your best effort. Come to the classes, watch the recordings, do the assignments. We know if you do, you're going to see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for the refund. The reason why I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to attract those who are incredibly excited to jump in, do the work, get the results. So I want to attract those serious investors. In order to do that, when I make a tight refund policy like this, I only attract those people who are serious about jumping in and getting the results. And when you do the system, you're learning a system that has historically averaged 3% per month. That's 36% per year. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. Now, I received this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over 100,000 this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with a 2-to-1 or better risk-reward. Thank you for teaching this simple but effective system. Now, a couple things I want to point out about this email and Joe who wrote it. Joe trades a lot. Joe took 350 trades in 10 months. It averages 35 trades a month. There's nothing wrong with that. But I will tell you, that's more trades than I take. I take usually, maybe 10 to 15 trades a month on average. You've got other guys that take 1 or 2 trades a week. You can make this course whatever you want it to be. 1 trade, 30 trades. $5,000 account, $100,000 account. It doesn't matter. Everything scales. Okay? Now, before I tell you more about it, I want to point something out. I want you to understand it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. It's serious and requires some effort on your part. So if you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about it, ready to jump in and do the work and get the results, then the Options Paycheck experience is perfect for you. It's step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income-generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course. However, we've got some amazing bonuses for you as well. Bonus number 1 is what we call the Mastery Package. The Mastery Package includes module-by-module mastery sessions. Each week, we're going to have 2 live mastery sessions, one dedicated to each module to help you master the course material. You're going to watch the modules on your own. They're already pre-recorded, and then you do the live mastery sessions if you have any questions. If you can't view the live mastery sessions, you can watch the recordings of those too. It's not a big deal. We record every live presentation. You're also going to have access to a live weekly Q&A on Friday, also recorded. You're going to get 3 live sessions a week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. We also have a dedicated live or a support email to myself and my team. If you don't already have it, I'm going to let you use Options Pro and VectorVest for the month and a half of the course. That way you can test drive the best tools for this. Okay? We also have an implementation month. You're going to get access to our live trading sessions. During these sessions, like I showed you earlier, remember I told you I placed these trades with my clients? You're going to get to come into that class where I place these trades. That way you can learn from real trading how this works. You're going to see me implement the system and manage the system in real time. I'm also going to have live office hours twice a week. We're going to walk through the system step by step in real time. Our past students have said this is one of the most favorite parts of the course. Watching that repetition really helped them cement the processes and concepts. We also, if you think it's going to be too much with all the stocks, we have an SPX paycheck system. You take trades on an index. 1 trade a week is all you got to do. We boil everything down into 1 trade, 1 ticker symbol with 1 rule, 1 profit rule, 1 stop criteria. My teammate Brian taught this to his then 14-year-old daughter. She was doing the trades. For many of my students, it's the only system they use. And as a recap, with today's offer, you're going to get the complete Options Paycheck training program, 8 training modules, videos, cheat sheets, quizzes, slides, everything. The Mastery Package, the Implementation Month, and the SPX Paycheck System. The total value of that is $54.75. So here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. So if you choose me one of them, we're going to create an income system in your portfolio. We're going to do this. So even if you've never had success with options before, you can do it. So if you want to join me, have me take you by the hand, help you install this in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the course is $12.95. That's our early bird price. Now, Since you've been with me for about an hour, I would like to do something special for you. So for those of you that are live on the course with me right now, we'll reduce it down to $9.95. That means you get the full course, 1 year of access to the course materials, the implementation month, all for $9.95. Now that $9.95 bonus is only going to be available for those who register before we finish today. Once we finish, the price goes back up to $12.95. Okay? All you got to do, go to www.optionspaycheck.com and get yourself registered now. Now listen, I know that $9.95, it's a cost, right? Everything costs money. But ask yourself, how much is it going to cost you not to do this? How much money are you going to lose out by trial and error? How much potential profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? Then ask yourself, how would things be different if you did it and it worked? You know, there's an old saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago. So you can be sitting under enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to learn and prepare for your retirement to generate income. This is going to be one of those deciding days in your life. This is going to be the day that you take action and set yourself up for secure retirement, or are you going to look back where you said, dang, I should have taken that opportunity. I could have been creating income all this time. Hope you don't regret the decision that you make. Don't miss this opportunity. I look forward to working with all of you in class. So again, go out there, www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered during this $9.95 special. It lasts until we end the webinar today, and then it goes right back to $12.95. So don't wait. I don't want you to miss out on the price. Okay? Go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. And also, if you're signing up, let me know. Just say, hey, Ron, I'm in. I'd like to welcome you to the class. Now, before we start our official Q&A, some of the most common questions I hear is, first, when's the live sessions, and what if I miss one? Well, it's a good question, right? Because the course is live, but you could also watch the recordings. Our first class is actually next Tuesday, so it starts in 7 days. If you sign up for it right now, you're going to get access to all of the course materials. You'll get access to VectorVest and Options Pro next week. Okay? Next Tuesday is our welcome session. We meet live. We talk about where all the materials are, everything you need to do to get ready for the class. Just a welcome session so we know you, you know us, etc., etc., etc. Now, what I want you to do before next Wednesday, if you sign up, is watch Module 1. You're going to watch the session pre-recorded in our university site. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do a review of Module 1. We'll answer your questions. We'll walk through some of the principles. And we'll just make sure that you know all of the details of Module 1. Then on Thursday, we'll do Module 2. Then on Friday, we have our live Q&A. Now, we have 3 sessions live a week through the month of August. If you don't view the live sessions, it's not a problem. We record all of them for you. You can watch them after the fact. You can send me questions and say, hey, Ron, I can't be there tonight, but can you cover this for me and talk about this? The answer is yes. Then you can watch the recording. The way I want you to do the course is I want you to do 2 modules a week. Through the month of August, you are going to learn the system. Then, when we get to the end of August, mainly through September, we are going to implement. Even if you're not ready to place your trades in the first part of September, we're going to help you learn to implement this system. We do 2 sessions on Monday, an SPX and a stock credit spread class. And then on Tuesdays and Friday, we have our office hours. And you can see this the first full week of September, Labor Day. So we actually move it a little bit there. Okay? So that's how we're going to teach you to implement this. In September, we are going to do so much implementation, you're going to get the hang of it. This is the favorite part of the course for a lot of people because they get to see it in action. So live through August and September. If you can make the live course, great. If you can't, you can watch all of the recordings. Now, one of our prior attendees, Greg, said prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade, much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 for my options income trading with 9 winners and only 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You will make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take the course for a long time. When I saw it offered, I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making the training program available. Now, a lot of you mentioned you're new to options. How much options experience do you really need to do this? Well, we've asked our prior attendees. 85% of our prior course graduates said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. We're putting the odds of success in your favor. You can do this regardless of your experience level. This is just a few more of the folks that have taken the class in the past that left us some great comments. Cheryl, I've surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I have a profit of 7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam, I've made the initial investment back so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake says, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. Some of our more recent students, Neville, thanks for the wonderful course. Within a short period of time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought into the training manual, already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 trades. David, the options page experience is by far the best course I've ever attended all my years of VectorVest since 99. You've eliminated my fear of trading options. The manner in which you presented the material is truly outstanding. Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions are above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, and that made the learning much easier. Great job. So again, don't miss out the opportunity. It's $9.95. That's the lowest price you're going to get if you've never taken the course before. While we're live, get out there, take advantage of it. Remember, it has a 100% money back guarantee. Okay? The onus is on me to prove to you over the next 2 months that this is a system that works. Registration closes next Tuesday. Get signed up for it. Take advantage of the early bird and the special price here in the webinar. So at this point, I'm going to let my colleague Brian come in, and the two of us are going to take the Q&A and answer any questions that you might have.
All right. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for having me here. A great session once again. So we've got, of course, a lot of excitement of people wanting to join Paycheck. Those of you who are in, welcome. Check your email. There should be an email with all the details in it, directions to get into the course, and the dates and the times and all that. So please check that out. The $9.95 rate, just a quick reminder, is good while we're live, and then it'll go back up to $12.95. There is something I did want to mention. Some of you have let us know that you've taken the course before. We do have an alumni rate, which allows you to take like a refresher of this class at a reduced rate. It's $4.95 if you've taken this before. Some people have taken it years ago and just want to get a refresher, kind of get back in the groove of things and just kind of see what Ron's coaching sessions are like. So that if you have taken the course before and you want a refresher, check your email. We would have sent you an email with a special link in it, or you could just call our team and we could help you out. All right, so go to optionspaycheck.com. There should be a big button on there to register for everybody else, and you can get the $9.95 rate while we're live. All right, so other than that, there's some people who are in, Ron. Usually what would be exciting is to kind of see what the course looks like on the inside. So those of you who have signed up, Ron's going to show you what it looks like on the inside. And those of you who are thinking about it, you can kind of, as Ron goes through it, you'll see just how thorough this course is. We're not just going to give you like 3 or 4 videos to watch. You're going to see Ron show you. He's got the videos, recordings, coaching sessions, checklists, cheat sheets, and a lot of other help videos. So Ron, take it away, my friend.
All right, good deal. So when you get signed up for the course, you're going to get access to this. This is our university site. Now there's 2 sections of it. Over on the left is kind of like your table of contents over here, right? And then over in the middle, this is where you can watch all of the videos. So one thing I always like to point out about the videos, in the lower right-hand corner, there's a little maximize button. So if you click on that guy, it'll let you maximize the video to the full screen. So keep that in mind. Now, in the upper left-hand corner, we have a getting started video. We always want you to watch this. It's just a quick reminder of what the options paycheck is, what we're going to be talking about over the next 2 months, just to get you familiar. There's going to be that live welcome recording. We're going to be doing that next Tuesday at 4:30, and the recording is released the very next day. And then what I want you to do, one of the first things I want you to do is go to the course curriculum checklist. Open that up. Because one of the most common questions we get is, well, Ron, when are all the live sessions? Is there a calendar available? And the answer is yes, there is. If you open up the checklist, it's actually the last page of the checklist. So if I open up that checklist, I tell you to print it out. And then in the last page of the checklist, all the way at the bottom, This is your schedule of all of our live events for the next 2 months. Now, what I want to talk about first, and this is important, we send out email reminders to all of these about 24 hours before the class starts. But we also realize that emails get lost, cluttered, junked, they don't go through for whatever reason. So if you go over here to your table of contents and you scroll all the way to the bottom of the list, there's also a section for links. If I open that up, you're going to see all of the links for all of the live classes. So if you're, all of a sudden an hour before the class, you're like, how do I get to the class? How do I get to the class? Go to your university site, go all the way to the bottom under links, just click on the link. Click on that guy, it'll take you right to our class for the welcome session. Now, inside also of that course curriculum checklist, and I'll scroll back up here a little bit, for every module, we give you kind of a checklist to go through. So for module 1, I want you to watch the snapshot, all the lessons, do the module review, do the review questions, and do the action items. Now, if you look under module 1, if I open up the recorded lessons, you're going to see the snapshot, all lessons 1 through 4. You're going to see the module review and the action items. That's going to lead you to what we want you to do. Every module has an action item. We want you to start implementing as you're doing it. Okay? Start practicing what you're being taught. Then you'll also see a section for review questions. These are little quizzes that you can take. If you've never done the action items before and you're kind of wondering, well, Ron, how do I do the action items? We actually have a walkthrough that we do. We have a section for frequently asked questions. And then lastly, we have the section for the recording. So if I open that guy up, you're going to see a link right here. And that's, if I click on that, that's going to be the mastery session recording. Now you see it says May 1st. Well, you're going to have another one posted there next Wednesday. Within 24 hours of our live mastery class, that will update and it'll say August or July 31st, I think, is our first one. So that video will update. But if you want to, and you want to go through some of the curriculum beforehand, you can actually watch some of our prior sessions that we did. Now, all through the 8 modules, the layout is exactly the same. Okay? Once you get through the 8 modules, you're going to find the bonus module for the SPX trading system. You're going to have a video that talks about the basics of it. And then I would encourage you, if you want to try it, do the 35 Delta trade. The 20 Delta trade works well too, but there's a lot more moving parts to that one. Most of our clients use the 35 Delta trade. Now, I've heard from a lot of attendees in the past that said, hey, Ron, I first started trading and I just started doing SPX trades during the course. It was very easy for me to start. Hey, if you want to start learning a trade right off the bat, that SPX 35 Delta trade is a good trade to learn. Now, the one thing I will tell you about it, you have to have a little bit of suspension in some cases of how to do things. When I teach you the 35 Delta trade, it's all about here is what you do. There's no why. It's here's what you do. I want you to look at this. I want you to sell this. I want you to buy this. I want you to exit here. I want you to exit here. It's all about the here is how to do it. If you want to know the whys of why we do certain things, you learn the whys in modules 1 through 8. The SPX bonus is just a here's what to do to make this work. Keep that in mind. Below that, you have our Q&As and office hour recording section. So every week, like for example, at the end of next week, open that guy up. You'll see your Q&A video for week 1, and then you have links for all 8 weeks of the course. This is the live trading session recording, so you can actually go back if you wanted to and look at some of my previous trading sessions I did with my last class. You're going to get a almost 2-month subscription to Options Pro that starts in August. If you want to look at some of the video tutorials for that, you can open that up. I've made video tutorials for how to use Options Pro. One thing I would urge you to look at is probably the risk graph videos. That's probably one of the biggest things we talk about, and one of the more confusing things for new options is an option risk graph. Below that are all of our broker help videos. I've got Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, and Fidelity. Those are the brokers I have access to. And then again, last but not least is that live webinar link. Now below, you're going to see a resources section. There's nothing under notes. Notes is not used. But under resources, if you just click on resources and open that tab up, this is where you can find all of the slides. So you can go in there and say, okay, I want to print out all of the slides from module number 1, all the lessons. You can just do it from right here. As you get past, and then things like module 8, you're going to see things like the checklist, the sizing worksheet. Under the SPX, you're going to see things like, entry click by click guides and all the color checklists and all that kind of stuff. That's where you're going to find all of the downloadable resources for the course. But that's what the university looks like. That's going to be your home for the next basically 2 months.
All right, great. So thank you for that other reminder, Ron, that registration closes a week from today. And then nobody would be able to get in, whether you're an alumni or a new person, or we actually have members here at VectorVest who are considered elite status, which means they can get the $9.95 rate whenever they want, up until registration closes. So thanks for that reminder, Ron. All right. So if you do have a question, type it into the box. Looks like we've actually answered a lot of questions behind the scenes in the chat. So if you typed in a question, also check the chat box because we would have responded into the chat for you. So that being said, Ron, I think you actually covered a lot of the big ones with the questions that came in. So I think at this point, unless something comes in while you're wrapping things up, I think we're just about to wrap up for the day. So everybody, we're excited to begin this next week. We know how much it's changed lives over the years that we've been teaching this. So I love how Raj just types in the box. He's like, I'm all set. So we're excited too, Raj. So Ron, I'm going to pass it over to you to wrap up for the afternoon and welcome everybody to the class.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian. And thank you for those of you that spent this hour and a half with me. I appreciate it. I know time is a valuable commodity, so I certainly appreciate yours. And thank you to those of you that signed up. I appreciate you putting your confidence in us here at VectorVest to teach you a good income system. So we're going to spend the next 2 months together. We're going to have a good time. I promise. This is like my Super Bowl when I get to do the options paycheck because it's really the bread and butter of how I trade. I do this every week with my clients, so it's fun for me. So I think it'll be fun for you as well. But with that, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up for this afternoon. I want to thank you once again. Wish all of you the best of success in the future. And for those of you that signed up, we'll see you guys next week live as we prepare to launch our options paycheck experience. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.